Hey guys, this is Power Wing Z. I just wanted to get a vlog in tonight. I tried to record one last night and I didn't like what... I rambled a whole bunch about just incoherent shit because I was super tired. So I'm going to do one tonight, but I don't know that I'm going to be much better, but I will put this one up. So today is the 28th of December, 2016. And I found out early yesterday, like just before noon, that Carrie Fisher died, Princess Leia from Star Wars. For anyone who doesn't know that's watching, and if you're watching me and you don't know that, wow, you need to catch up on your nerd culture. But anyways, so that was kind of a drag for me, being a lifelong Star Wars fan, and so. I wish the best to her family and my condolences to all those that were close to her. But as a fan, it's a hard loss because I just saw Rogue One the day before she passed on, and I did hear in the news that her shooting for Episode 8's complete, but that she was also slated to appear in Episode 9. So unfortunately, we may not see her likeness even in that film or old footage. I don't know. I do wait to see what they do. But to me, she's a sci-fi icon. So I'm bummed about that. But then secondly, for those of you who don't know, I have bearded dragons. I should say had bearded dragons. I had two of my bearded dragons pass away today really unexpectedly. They were behaving normally just a couple of days ago, and now all of a sudden two of them have died in the last 24 hours. Both of them are really close to each other. Like literally one I saw move away from his heat lamp and lay down in a cooler spot, so I moved his heat lamp farther away from him so that he could keep the temperature he wanted, because they regulate their own temperature, so they'll stand in the heat lamp when they want it and move away when they don't. And I saw him do that last night, and he cacked this morning, and I saw another one of ours that was walking around his tank this morning looking for or scavenging his food. They eat vegetables or live insects. And then this evening when I came home, he had also died. So I'm bummed about that. I do still have one bearded dragon left. She is the first one I got, which, to be honest about it, of all of them, I kind of figured she would probably be the first to go just because I've had her longer. She's older than the others. But also when we got her, she was missing two toes, or half the toes on one of her feet. But yeah, I wasn't sure. I mean, they're supposed to live a decently long time, so we don't know what happened, but we're keeping a close eye on our remaining one. So bummed about that. Really bummed about that, actually. I love my beardies were awesome. What else did I talk about last night? Last night I kind of talked about that I had heard one of my favorite Twins players was potentially on the trading block. I didn't see if that had happened because I didn't really look at that and focus on any of that today. But Brian Dozier, one of my favorite Twins players currently, is being heavily considered for trade because he's one of the few players right now that we have that's really going to be worth their weight on the trading block. So, so there's that. But I'm also going to be starting work on a few projects here in 2017 that I intended to kick off in 2016, and that's another video series that I'll be shooting. That's not video game and not paintball related, so that will be on its own channel. I'll talk more about that as we get to it showing up. But I plan on doing some of that, and that's a lot of this stuff is going to take up some more of my time, so I may have to adjust my streaming hours. For those of you who follow me on Twitch, I don't really want to do too much to that, so I'm going to try and squeeze all of this in, plus my family life, plus time for my pets and whatnot. as it goes along. So I'll be trying to do more of these vlogs as life goes along. I'm going to start trying to do them in my vehicle as well. So what I'm going to do is I've got a GoPro. I'm going to hook that up and mount it facing me in the car so I can just hit record and ramble for a little bit. And give you guys the bits and pieces that I think are interesting or are just interesting, and not me just sitting there going or road rage or getting just grumpy as a motherfucker while I'm driving. Because occasionally that happens. It's pretty rare though that I'm just a grumpy bastard while I'm driving. And I'll try and I will try and upload those the same day, even during the day after I've done that. I'll see if that'll work either from my smartphone or another method. But I did want to get this out there, and so what I'm going to be doing gaming-wise over the next few days, weeks, whatever it takes me to finish it. I'm starting Metal Gear 5. I really want to finish the Phantom Pain. I finished the first part a long time ago. I finished Ground Zeroes last summer, or probably even almost a year ago. And I got Phantom Pain right when it came out, and I just didn't play it because I had other stuff going on and other things to take care of. So I will be getting to playing that pretty soon. Hey! In good news though, Stan the Man Lee turns 94 today. So actually that is today, the 28th, I believe, based on what I'm seeing on Facebook. And again, this is just based on what I'm seeing on Facebook right now. That's kind of how I like run my train of thought. I found the coolest thing on one of the Facebooks I follow called Entertainment Earth. They sell cool collectibles. I found that Hot Wheels makes a Batman vehicle collector's line in 1/18 scale, which I really want to get a couple of them because I'm a huge collector of 1/18 scale vehicles. I've got a lot of cars, a lot of Camaros and Corvettes specifically, but then some other cars that I really liked that I'd picked up over the years. Man, I really want to add one of those or a couple of those to my collection. It just depends if I can afford it. Because there are a few that are they're kind of expensive. Most of the 1/18 cars I've bought have been in the 20 to I think 60 or 80 was the most I spent on a really rare one. 60 or so between 20 and like we'll call it $80 US. And this was many years ago that I spent that much. I haven't bought many collector's cars recently. I bought a few from the Fast and the Furious. But I really like those, and if you guys want to know more about that, I can show off some of that stuff. Again, they're 1/18 scale, so they're like about a foot and some inches long. I think a foot actually. But they're pretty sweet cars. And I will be maybe talking about those once in a while when I do stuff. But let's see what else. What have I been playing? On stream, I'm going to be finishing Arkham City, so we're going to be playing that, Arkham City Remastered. I really like that game. I also just picked up yesterday because I got it for $30 and I've been wanting to play it because I love the series. I picked up Dead Rising 4 as I throw the case on the floor. Thankfully, no disc in there, just the crap, so hopefully I didn't bust up. It doesn't look like I busted up my case. I do have to get a couple extra of these though. Now that I think about it, I've got some extra Blu-ray cases for when and I bought the double ones. So what I do is when I buy when I have my old DVDs and I upgrade to Blu-ray, I actually will then take and buy one of the. I have the 2-packs. They're the 2 disc cases, and I throw both the DVD and the Blu-ray in there with the Blu-ray cover, just so I have that. And sometimes if I feel board, I'll label it DVD as well somehow. I haven't figured that out yet. I was thinking maybe just printing off a new label for it or sticking a little sticker on it to say, hey, by the way, this is a DVD and a Blu-ray for anyone else who's at my house looking at the collection. Not that it really matters. Honestly, I don't know if people still talk a lot about DVD. I think Blu-ray has really taken over as the mainstream, and we're now starting to see 4K Blu-ray. But I did want to talk a little bit about the two movies that I saw this week. I saw first, obviously, Star Wars Rogue One. I really liked it, man. It was fantastic. It was such a good movie. It was seriously, it felt like it belonged right in the gap where it was put between episodes 3 and 4. And a little bit actually probably before the end of episode 3, if I'm guessing right by Jin's age. Is it Jin or Jan? I always forget how to pronounce. I've heard it pronounced a few different ways. I want to say it's Jin Urso or Urso. Sorry. I'm really fucking tired. Yeah, it's Jin Urso, or at least that's how I would pronounce it. Jyn. Based on her backstory that they give in the film. I don't want to give too much away about it. I don't really want to talk about the plot because I know there's a lot of people who follow me who are really big sci-fi nerds and Star Wars nerds as well. So I don't want to give that stuff away. But Felicity Jones was fucking amazing as Jyn Erso. Alan Tudyk was great as K2, the droid. My favorite character in it was, and I'm just blanking on his name right now, but was this blind dude that just whooped a bunch of ass in it. And he was really cool. And why am I blanking on this dude's name? I think it was, I want to say it's Chirrut Imwe. But he was awesome. There was a lot of great people in the movie. And it was just fantastic. A lot of my friends have asked me what my favorite Star Wars films are as a hardcore Star Wars guy. I've been a Star Wars fan since my mom first introduced me to the film, so thank you, Mom. As a kid, I was probably, I would guess, between 6 and 8 years old when I first saw it. I can't remember. But I was living in the second house I grew up in because I spent the first 2 years of my life, which obviously I'm not going to remember really outside of pictures to be able to talk about what people told me about that picture. But those first 2 years I spent at one house. Then we moved and spent the next 8 years at another house, and then the rest of my childhood and into my early adult life when I was in college, up to when I was in college, I spent at a third house. So yeah. Anyways, then I'm rambling on about where I grew up. Anyways, so I saw it at the second house that I lived in. So I would have been between, 2-ish and 10 years old when I saw it. But man, it was just fucking awesome. That I remember, it was one of my favorite things as a kid to watch. And I think I wore out a tape, actually, if I recall correctly. There's a few tapes that I actually wore out as a kid. Terminator 2 Judgment Day, either Return of the Jedi or the first Star Wars. I watched those the most because I wasn't into the darkness of it when I was a kid, man. But when I got to be an adult, I really... Empire became one of my favorites. But anyways, so I really like all the Star Wars films. But I've loved them since I first saw them. I played the card game growing up as a teenager. Loved playing the card game. I played that and Magic. Both were a blast. I've been a fan since. So some of my friends have asked me what my favorite of the films are. And to be honest, there's a three-way tie for my favorite film. And the reason I say this is because there's things I like individually about each of these films. And it's Return of the Jedi, Rogue One, and Empire Strikes Back. And those aren't in any particular order. Empire, man, I love Empire. I love the darkness. I love it. I love the kind of soul-crushing ending. Like, you just feel, you really feel for the characters. You feel the beatdown that they feel at the end of it. Jedi, I love the space battles. I love the action sequences. I like that Han got to shine not just as a pilot, but as a rebel leader. And it showed that he had come full circle from the mercenary or I only care about myself smuggler to I really care about the problems of the galaxy, the problems of these people that I've become friends with. and that I'm willing to not just risk my life for money or thought of reward, but for being selfless. And it's interesting because I remember hearing when I was a kid that that the actor who played Han, Harrison Ford, thought the character should have died either in Empire or Jedi, because to really cement that, and because he didn't think there was much beyond that for the character. And I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if there's any truth to that, but that's a rumor I'd always heard growing up and still even hear sometimes into adulthood. From there, I would rank then a firm, quote, second/fourth place to Episode 4. I loved the first film. It was great, but there are a lot of small, goofy things that I don't like about it, that I didn't notice the first time watching. I really love the film, don't get me wrong. There's just a few small things that I've like. It feels like now as an adult watching it that there was just no plan. Like it was like, let's just make Star Wars, and none of the farther storyline about Darth Vader and his family issues that arise were thought out at that point. And maybe they were, and it was just an epic deception, but, you know, to be honest, I don't think it was. I think there was more fly by the seat of the pants than Lucas and George Lucas himself and Lucasfilm and all of the people around that movie led on to. And then behind that comes the prequels, starting with 3. 3 takes that 5th/3rd spot. I really liked Revenge of the Sith. There was a lot of great stuff in that for the prequels. I still felt it was a little overly CG'd, but watching Anakin's descent into darkness and why it happened was an interesting thing for me, because I'd always wondered how this Jedi hero had fallen to become one of the most evil, feared people in the universe, and it showed it great. The writing was a little terrible though, and that's why it falls so low on the list. It would fall higher if it were better written like Empire was, but it wasn't. The writing, the dialogue felt wooden, and it didn't feel like the actors were given a lot to work with. And the high points were Ewan McGregor, because the dude could act. He could take. I mean, he's been in some pretty shit films that he's done a really good job in. But so that's why it falls lower on the list. Then I would put probably Episode 7 in right there. And the reason I say that is there's a lot of plot points I don't like, and that's fine. You want to argue with me about it, have a different opinion, but to me, there's a lot of plot points I don't like. One of the big ones, and without giving away too much about it, is the fact that the main character, or one of the main characters, is just good at everything. Rey instantly can just pick up anything and do anything, and I get the direction of why they're pointing toward that. And again, I'm not trying to give away too much because it's still a relatively fresh film. You really should, if you're following me, already have watched this film, but if you haven't, I don't want to spoil too much of it for you. But she's good at everything, or too good at everything, I should say. It's okay to be good at it, but too good shows to me that there's not a lot of development that we're going to see in the character, that they're just supposed to be awesome. And I could be wrong. I mean, they could be pointing her to something even more huge, and a huge role in the galaxy going forward. I don't know. I've followed some of the book stuff more closely, and with her not being, with all the book stuff being now legends, I can't say I know what's going on there. But yeah, I really enjoyed the effects. I thought the lightsaber fight in the film was outstanding. The modern lightsaber looked amazing. My initial thoughts though on the main villain Kylo Ren was that he was kind of a wiener and kind of a wine bag. But the interesting thing is, you think about it, kind of so was Anakin. Anakin became kind of a wine bag at some point, and that's why I didn't like Anakin. But I also at this point kind of understand it with his age. With this, I'm all powerful. I know everything. But yet not, and being torn on who he is, what his identity is. And it's very interesting to me to see that. And I did like what the actor, what is his name, Adam Driver? Is it Adam Driver or Diver? And I'm sorry, I'm terrible with some actors' names. It's Adam Driver. And I thought he did a great job with it. And actually, his funniest thing was a spoof he did for, I believe it was either Jimmy Kimmel or Saturday Night Live. I forget which it was. Again, I'm not up on crazy everything. It's hard to keep up on everything. But he does a spoof about Kylo Ren for that, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's an undercover boss spoof. So if you haven't seen that, go check out Kylo Ren Undercover Boss. You can Google it, or I'll throw a link down below. I thought it was really fun though. I did not entirely hate the film. There were some things I like about it, but I didn't really love it like I did the others. So getting back to the list, we're getting to the end of. We're gonna put episode 2 here, and episode 2 sits there because, and it's really close behind episode 7, just because of one thing. We get to see Yoda lay a whoop down on Count Dooku. And had it not been for the fact that Anakin and Obi-Wan's lives were at stake, Yoda would have just demolished Dooku. And it was cool to actually that first time get to see him break out the ass whipping. And then the fight he puts up against the Emperor, even being just ancient, was pretty good too. So I liked all that about it. But again, with all of the prequels, the dialogue just felt wooden. It felt almost like a droid were telling the story. And the reason I say that is there's an article I read, and I'll find it, I think it's a Cracked article, that is an interesting look at why the prequels are the way they are, and why even some of the films kind of embellish some of the roles of the characters that the characters may have had, and why some of the characters are always in the events. It's an interesting look, it's that it's told from the point of R2-D2, and I'll link that down below as well as the Kylo Ren Undercover Boss video. I think people should watch both, read one, watch the other. They're fun. And then at the end comes Episode 1. Episode 1 was, I get it was a building film. We had to learn all mostly new characters with the exception of Obi-Wan and Anakin. I'm going to say he's not really a new... I throw that in quotes because Anakin really isn't a new character, but the persona of Anakin is new, where we knew his other persona, Darth Vader, later in the films. So we learn about who Anakin Skywalker is. But just there were some things that just really were stupid. The whole midichlorian thing that they talk about, that he was a virgin conception, and the fact that everything just felt really drawn out. And what better way to start out the greatest story in the galaxy than to go into trade negotiations. I do understand kind of why they did that, or at least my thoughts on that, and I think that's because they were doing, trying to kind of talk about what the role of the Jedi was in the universe, and get us to understand that the Jedi really aren't really just supposed to be warriors, that they're kind of peacekeepers more than an army, and that they were supposed to fulfill that role. So I get that, but again, there's just some random things like that really ruin it. And the big ones that ruin it there's two huge ones that ruin it for me. Jar Jar Binks and Boss Nass. I'm sorry, the dude spitting and sputtering and going "Bleh," and all the crap he did, annoying. And Jar Jar Binks, absolutely annoying. I mean, and I know people who find the Ewoks annoying, but at least the Ewoks served a purpose. Jar Jar Binks was blaster fodder, and should have bit it in that film. Even I think they could have killed him off in that scene where he's leading the battle against the droids. He could have accidentally won the battle but died and been a, quote, hero. But I think he was just the most annoying character, and the thing I hated the most about the prequels. But I have read some cool things about him. You can Google these theories. I don't remember where I read the article, so I'm probably gonna have a hard time finding them. But there was some fan theory out there that he was a Sith in disguise and that he was directing the whole thing. It's a really interesting theory because it kind of makes why he bumbles up some things and why he does things the way he does very interesting. And it would have been cool actually to see him reveal that later on and just be this merciless bastard. But again, just a fan theory. So, really didn't like episode 1 much at all, but episode 1 and episode 7 really are my two most disliked ones plot-wise. But episode 2 kind of bumps itself in between them because episode 7 did the visuals right and did the... I like the more practical effects, less CGI route that they took. I also talked a little bit about what we're going to see on Xbox Live coming up in December. January. Jesus, man. This is how tired I'm getting. I'm going to Google these really quick because I can't remember them. Oh yes, one of the big ones. This is the one I'm actually excited for. So they're really on this list. Only looks like 2 that I'm excited for, the 4 games. So the first one coming up January 1st through the 31st on Xbox One is World of Van Helsing Death Trap. I don't know if this follows the other Van Helsing game that we got previously. But it's not one that I've ever seen much about. I don't know much about it, but if it is, my interest is pretty limited. I've seen some of the gameplay of the last Van Helsing game we got for free earlier this year. In 2016, so not really excited. But this one I'm excited about, and this is the later half of January, so January 16th into February 15th. That's going to be Killer Instinct Season 2. I'm really pumped about that. I like the Killer Instinct game. It's going to open up some new characters. I think Glacius is in it. I believe Spinal, TJ Combo, some more of the original characters. I can't remember all who's in that, but if you have Season 1, that'll unlock those additional characters. If you don't have Season 1, I don't know if that unlocks anything for you. Bonus unlocks any of that Season 1 stuff, so you may still not have those Season 1 characters. At some point, this leads me to believe then that we're going to see Season 3 for free as well, probably this time next year or maybe even sooner, depending on what they see. Then on the Xbox 360, there's a game called The Cave, which I think I played a little bit. I think it's actually been free on the Xbox One or maybe PlayStation Network. I know I've played it. But it's an interesting game where you're given a choice of so many characters and you go exploring this cave. I don't know a ton about it because I've only played like maybe an hour. But it's an interesting platformer. It's worth a check out, so go check that one out. And that's January 1st through the 15th, so coming up on Sunday? Yeah, Sunday I believe that would be. And then we've got Rayman Origins, which is January 16th to the 31st on the 360. And I like the Rayman games. They're a fun platformer. They are kind of goofy, but it's a fun one to play. So that one, again, check out. So those are the two. The two I'm most excited about is Rayman Origins and Killer Instinct. So I'm going to look up the PlayStation Plus for games, and quite honestly, I don't even know if I'm going to get these because I don't know what my PlayStation 4 member or my PSN membership looks like. I keep forgetting to look up when that is. Because my PlayStation 4 is sitting right next to me unplugged and has been for, I don't know, 6 months or so. I think I just found something with more info on it. But the rumors here are, okay. So there actually looks to be, at some point it looks, so this is just rumor, but interestingly enough, these may be the free ones. If they are and my subscription has lapsed, I will have to renew it. So you get Knack, which is a release title. There was a lot of flack that game got. It was goofy fun, but apparently it was repetitive, and I did think the combat was a little wonky. You were really easy to kill, so you did have to be really careful how you fought. And dog, go on, stay away from that. Sorry about that. My dog's being a butthole. So Knack, I really look forward to trying to play that again to see if it's any good. The story was blah. The story was blah as hell, but the game looked like kind of a fun 3D platformer. Then Rayman Legends. So I like the Rayman games. I have Rayman Legends, I believe, already. Yeah, Rayman Legends, I think, is the one I have on the Wii U and the Xbox One. And that was a fun one. But again, cool platforming and some interesting concepts for multiplayer. Then it looks like Gravity Rush Remastered might also be on the list, which is cool because I've been wanting to play Gravity Rush on the console as opposed to trying to play it on my Vita. I like the Vita, but the problem is when I get home, I don't want to sit and hunch over a screen. And the Vita kind of leads me to do that. Dog, stay up from under the desk. My dog keeps trying to crawl under the desk and sniff it. I'm guessing the beer cap that I apparently dropped the other night. So Gravity Rush Remastered, I'm excited to play that, and I played a little bit of the original, but the problem I had playing any game on the Vita was when I come home, I don't want to sit and hunch and look at a screen this big when I can look at a screen that's enormous. And looks like Resident Evil 0 HD Remaster, which I think we got for free. No, you know what? Maybe I'm trying to remember if that was a free game on another platform at some point. But Resident Evil 0 is one of the remakes of the original Resident Evil, adding some new content in. But that's a fun game. I like that one. So if that's the case, that's a pretty cool one. But I also heard a rumor that potentially there will be another game on there for the PlayStation VR. I don't know if we'll see that or not, but that's one of the predictions people are making. The other prediction that we're going to see is looking like it's potentially going to be Saints Row 4. And that would be kind of cool if it was, because kind of cool and kind of pissed me off at the same time because I just bought Saints Row for the Xbox. Get out of there! Sorry, this dog is nosy as crap. And if I'm not constantly petting her or keeping her attention, she's trying to nose in everything. But she's just a puppy. She's just a puppy. Well, not really just a puppy. She's kind of a big girl. She's 2 years old. But she is a purebred Lamberger. And I've showed off video of her before. Maybe I'll do some more vlogs about it. And I'm sorry, I am getting this video really long, way longer than I intended. But this is actually 2 vlogs in one because I did do one yesterday. But I'm going to cut off at this point, and that'll be the end of it. If you guys like my vlogs or want to see me talk about anything else in the vlogs instead of just myself, I will gladly talk about other things. If you liked the video, though, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, go ahead and hit the thumbs down button. Tell me I suck. I don't care. But I will take if you give me the thumbs down and you give me some constructive feedback on what I can do to make these videos better. I will definitely listen to that because I do want you guys to enjoy these videos and come check them out regularly. You just want to lay somewhere else, you dirty sniffer. Okay, I get you. And anyways, you know that subscribe thing? You should probably do that if you like what I do. That'll tell me to keep producing content and that people enjoy it. But guys, it's getting late. I am tired. Peace out.